I think by now it's pretty safe to say that most adult toy collectors are familiar with the concept of an exclusive, right? A product that's only at one retailer. Well, in the toy industry, the manufacturers, they actually refer to this as a customized program. And this isn't just exclusive to toys. This is done throughout the manufacturing industry where different SKUs are developed for specific retailers with a customized version. It could be a thing like an extra track on an album. It could be something like a toy version of a store's mascot. In fact, a lot of retailers like to do exclusives that reflect their branding and their messaging. For example, if you ever noticed at Target, then almost all exclusives tend to be red because, oh gee, shocker, Target's corporate color is red. It's why they've had Red Hulk multiple times. Whereas Walmart tends to use a lot of red, white, and blue. Well, they use a lot of blue, but they also do a lot of patriotic stuff. I mean, have you never noticed the sheer amount of Captain America exclusives that Walmart has? You can pretty much count that if a year happens, Walmart is going to have some kind of exclusive Captain America, something or the other, because it works for Walmart's corporate branding. All right, so we understand why customized programs happen, right? They're used to draw customers to a store in order to get a specific item. And from an overall production standpoint, or I guess if you could see a collection standpoint, it's meant to complement what you have. Meaning, if you want a full collection, you need to also get the exclusives because it complements to what the mainline items are. That refers to items that all retailers can take, mainline versus customized. And of course, for retailers, they want to draw customers to their store and ideally lining up beforehand to get these items that are only available in one retail location and not at others. Because, well, it drives business. It makes sense because you want customers coming to your store and not the other store. It offers something different, something unique, something that another retailer isn't going to have, and ideally you'll buy other things. But what's really interesting is that customized or exclusive toys lately have done something different, and they've become what's called a margin driver. So, what is a margin driver? Well, margin has a lot of different definitions. It can mean everything from collateral to, well, I guess the distance between a page and a spine. But what I'm talking about is a profit margin, meaning the difference between what it costs to make a product and what you sell a product for. And this means for the wholesaler, like a Hasbro or a Mattel, a manufacturer, the difference between what they're able to produce it for and when they sell it to retail. So, I'm sorry, a manufacturer versus a wholesaler. So, yeah, Target and Walmart are the wholesalers. And margins are not flat, meaning not every item that a manufacturer makes is going to deliver the exact same margin. Retailers do have margin requirements, but the way they achieve this is through something called a blended margin, meaning some items in a product line are going to deliver a very high margin. Some items will deliver a very low margin. But by putting all of the items together in one line, one product development cycle, you're ideally going to hit that margin target. So a good example in the toy world is looking at the classic action figure vehicle playset model, which tends to be the standard going all the way back to the early 80s, where the larger items compared to the smaller items deliver different margins for the company. And a specific example in the classic 1982 He-Man launch is a textbook example, quite literally, where the basic figures are your margin drivers because it's assumed that the consumer is going to buy multiples of these. You're not just going to buy one, you may buy a lot. Versus something like a playset or a vehicle, you're only going to buy one of those, unless you need an army of Wind Raiders or Battle Rams. But yeah, you're probably getting one Castle Grayskull. So for every Castle Grayskull where you may lose margin, you gain margin on all of the figures you buy, which you're buying a lot of. Hence, the figures are the margin drivers. This makes everything perfectly balanced, where you're losing money, I mean, not money, but you're losing margin points on the bigger items and gaining them on the smaller ones. All right, now I bring this up today because something kind of weird is going on. On one of my recent trips to retail,
I noticed Malloy wore sneakers. For sneaky?
Actually, no. What I noticed was there was a huge price discrepancy, not necessarily between a deluxe figure and a basic figure. You're always going to expect that because deluxe figures come with more. But with the exclusive figures, the figures that are only sold at one retailer versus the figures that are considered mainline. So, here's a great shot that illustrates that perfectly. This Jawa is exclusive to Target. Princess Leia is part of a mainline. And we're seeing like a $3 price difference in the way customers are charged for what is essentially the same item. And this isn't restricted to one scale or one toy line. I happen to be using 2 Star Wars examples, but yeah, basic figures in the vintage collection are not $21, but they are with the exclusives. So the question is, why in the world is this happening? Usually, an exclusive is priced at the same price point as the equivalent mainline item, meaning if you have a basic figure, exclusive is the same price. The exclusives traditionally are just meant to stand out as unique items, not unique price points. And the idea of paying more just because an item is only available at one retailer is, well, one, it's off-putting to an adult collector, but it also definitely goes against the strategy of a customized program. Now, the reason for this is basically because of how a profit and loss, or P&L, is run. And as I mentioned earlier, P&Ls have to be in balance. You may have some items that deliver a low margin and others that deliver a high margin, but together they equalize and create the margin target that a publicly owned company requires. So again, you're going to buy a lot of basic figures at a high margin and only one playset at a lower margin, but because of the volume that you're doing with basic figures, it makes up for the margin you lose with a playset. So why would they be doing this with basic figures that are all in the same scale, all basically part of the same assortment, but the price difference is only reflective of customized? I mean, for a lack of anything else, this is just weird. I mean, even for adult collector standpoints. So there is kind of a business rationale for this, and it comes from price fluctuation at market. We all see this with gasoline going up and down until we're all nauseous. Normally, demand is tied directly to, well, price is tied to demand. But with exclusives, it's a little different because you only have one option, one place to get them. And lately, the unpredictability of cost has been eroding into the margin. And because of the price fluctuation that we're getting at the manufacturing level, retailers and manufacturers like Target, Walmart, Hasbro, Mattel, Spin Master have been struggling against the incredibly high labor costs that are coming to produce these toys, especially when it comes to assembly and paint. You're paying an hourly worker, and in China, well, labor costs have been skyrocketing. So, in order to balance out the P&L, the interesting, for lack of a better word, tactic that seems to be happening is to avoid retailers canceling orders on mainline items, which they can do at the drop of a hat, especially if the price changes. Well, with an exclusive or customized program, they tend to be locked in because that customized product is being tooled, is being designed specific to a retailer need, and they are required then to order their customized item. So, if retailers and manufacturers can then charge a little bit more, while it's very untraditional, it allows the margin to hit the target even in a manufacturing environment where price fluctuation and labor costs are just all over the place. So yeah, that's why you're seeing exclusive product at a much higher price to the mainline equivalent. It is absolutely weird, it is untraditional, but at least I hope this video explained the business reasons why this happens, and it's all about hitting those margin targets, which all publicly traded companies are required to do. You can't just, lose money. I hope this video shed a little bit of light on this current exclusive pricing. If you have questions or need clarifications, let me know in the comments section below. I do my best to try to hit that as much as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, the best way to support this channel is to share these videos with others, so thank you for doing that. Alright, see you guys in the comments section and in the next video. Spector Toy Guru out!